Yeah, I got you in the room.
Here,
All
you're
right.
recording now. The red button's on.
The red button's on, people. You've just heard it. All right. Now that the red button's on, my job is to announce that this is Angora Poets World Cafe on April 18th. Hey, hey, hey. The horse chestnuts are budding in Paris, and Doc is going to read a celebration to Arbor Day in South Euclid, Ohio, the city we all heard about it because next it's going to hold the International Olympics in 2024. So, having said that, uh, Jack Cooper has put out 127 aphorisms with
137.
137 with pictures, people,
Over
pictures.
Alpha.
So, and cute and clever inferences. Now, Jeannie Nakano is going to represent womanhood tonight, and we know that's putting a big load on her shoulders. But we know she'll come through just fine since she has no choice. Now, Martin Resick is bound to give us some bilingual stuff. I don't know if it'll be classic Czech cabaret from the 20s and 30s, which he will then render in English for us. Doc Janning, on the other hand, will have scientific evidence for any questions, existential or cosmic, that you may or may not have. Bill Strangmeyer will warn you about the futility and fatality of all this. And and David Wilson will escape to some cave or some hilltop in Berkeley Heights to let you smell. Well, he'd like you to smell the jasmine, but tonight it'll be the eucalyptus. Oh,
Eucalyptus.
all right. So, and I'm Mo Singer, and I'm going to read you a story about my French in-laws. So here we go. We're going to ask now for our first poet tonight, Doc Janning from South Euclid, Ohio. Doc, you're on.
I am on. Okay. This poem I wrote this past Monday and presented to the South Euclid City Council. It's titled Songs of Spring. Emerging from crystal chrysalis, spreading wings of light, spring writes songs of alchemy in calligraphy of life, love, and hope, stirring dreams of summer in waltzing scent of flowers, amid scenes of green and growth and visions of estival warmth in the gardens of our hearts and the infinity of our souls. The life song is a journey into the dream time of the future through a kaleidoscope of moments, each moment a prism of infinity, a lens of forever, and a mirror of time, reflecting everything, reflecting nothing, in hopes and dreams of everywhere and every when. The love song is of the ages, a chant and a hymn, singing desire of life for itself, and dancing, sky-clad, in a voluptuous sunscape through the mind's fires, entwining souls in consummate wisdom amid moments of joy in a paean of passion. The song of hope soars into the cycle of life as a meditation within eternity, a light on pathways of being, revealing and concealing transparencies of light and solid, flowing from mysteries of the past in a soliloquy of serene silence to decorate the winds of time in language as infinite as longing. The songs merge and meld in a chorus of infinity amid echoes of the multiverse, reaching before today and beyond tomorrow for the forever, beyond forever.
Well, that's forever yours. All right. Click up that applause meter. Doc, you took us somewhere. Wow. Prisms of infinity.
The
Let me count.
multiverse. Nope.
Let me count thy few. All right, Doc, how about number two to follow that, please?
Number two is the memorial poem. Uh, as an epigraph to it, I quote Shakespeare's Hamlet, in which he calls death the undiscovered country. I refer to death as an undiscovered world. All of time exists in but a single moment. And in that moment, in the distances of forever, contains all the love and infinite longing of life for itself, expressed as the circle of life. It sings the lost language of everywhere and every when, amid kaleidoscope dreams of an undiscovered world and an ancient future in a present past. And in its love and its longing mourns for those who were, with ache and angst of loss, tears flowing, softly falling. Il nous manquons.
Wow, some more stuff on, yeah, the feeling of timeless. Okay. All right. That's an interesting thing to conceptualize, timeless. It'll keep you busy. I'll tell you that. It'll keep you busy for a long time thinking about timeless. You can't exhaust it. Okay.
Oh,
How about three's a charm, doctor?
three is a charm. Okay. This is the poem for the tree planting. Tree rings are the circles of life. Each year a new ring, dreaming a new circle, each encircling the rest, each including the past in the sequence of years and sunscapes of days and amid sunscapes of days and moon dappled nights. Awakened from winter's chrysalis to the alchemy of spring blossoms, songs of summer fruiting, and autumn's blaze of color, we plant new trees, honoring nature, honoring Gaia, honoring life and lives well lived. Serviceberry and redbud, each young tree branching into arch of sky, rooting into sacred earth, another circle, intersecting in gardens of time with other circles, other lives, each to grow and thrive, provide beauty and shade, help cleanse the air, stabilize the soil, each tree exchanging breath of life with other life, each a food source, each a hand to the future, a remembrance of the past in the endless circle, the samsara of life.
Homage to trees. All right.
Mhm.
If we could be as
Thank you,
wholesome as
Doc.
the trees and gardening we talk about. Wow. But for a moment, we can be, right, Doc?
Yep,
If we immerse ourselves into their mystery and beauty for a minute,
exactly.
we can join. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Doc. Very nice. Very nice. So now I would like to call on Jeannie. Jeannie, how are you tonight, Jeannie?
Oh, I'm okay. Could be
Okay.
better.
All right.
Well, I think I'll continue with my book that I started, my first book of poetry. And last week I started reading some things from it. And I decided I kind of liked it. Um, so a long time ago, I wanted, I went to stay in a lot of monasteries just seeking enlightenment. And I was really determined. And I go through all this long days getting there by buses and planes and trains and this and that. And one of the monasteries was way up in Shasta. I don't know if you know it, but yeah, it was a Buddhist monastery.
In the
So
mountain on Mount
it
Shasta
it was beautiful. It
in
truly was.
California. Okay.
Yes, yes, uh-huh. And
Okay.
we had to meditate from starting at 6 in the morning to about 8 o'clock and night. And it was just long and arduous. And the only break we had was eating and 1 hour a day to clean the temple. So this is sort of about being there at the monastery. The first one it's a haibun. Most of them are haibun. And
Now, you
that's
tell us about what is haibun.
it is prose and interspersed with haiku. I was totally into haiku then.
All right.
I didn't even write tanka. Okay, so here it goes. The first one is called Amethyst. It's 5:30 a.m. As I walk from the monastery dorms to the temple. I see the faint outline of snow-capped Shasta mountains, fresh baked bread from the kitchen, and the scent of pine fills the air. I cherish these walks. The rest of the time, I meditate in front of a 5-foot tall white screen. Today, something happens. A purple light flickers on the screen and swirls into prehistoric landscape mountains covered with perfumed flowers, vines, and strange vegetation. No human beings, just this paradise. My hand reaches through the screen and my body follows. Flight is easy in this new world. I'm flying everywhere, seeing and smelling new life. In the afternoon, I tell the abbot about my journey. What purpose do they serve? He inquires. I cry, tears. I'm almost ashamed of what I had done. And he thinks I'm losing touch with reality. I stop the monkey meandering. I never see the flickering lights or my paradise again. Mystery in amethyst, still unresolved. Mystery in amethyst, still unresolved.
Okay, that was interesting. Sorry
Those,
that sorry that he objected to you losing touch with reality. Sorry about that.
after I left the monastery, I did too, because I always wondered what I could have and would have seen.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
But it was beautiful what I did see. Your mind kind of goes that way when you're deprived, I think. It creates its own illusions.
right, that's right. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? Let us hear your next created poem.
Okay. So this is still in the abbot in the monastery, Shasta Monastery. And I call it Long, Long Ago. I was in love with him. That always happens. The man in the purple robes with the shaven head and everlasting serene smile of tranquility. The abbot of a Buddhist monastery, celibate since childhood. In my meditations, I imagine leading the abbot to my fire. Monkey mind is what you call it. The sermons on Dharma and the Eightfold Path keep my hands and my thoughts tied. 10 years later, I learned the abbot fell in love with a layperson, gave up his robes, and is now a whirling dervish. I had my chance. Upside down, floating in the pond, the yellow lotus. Upside down, floating in the pond, the yellow lotus. This was a
Ah,
huge scandal at that Shasta Abbey, let me tell you. And I called many times to
Let us
try to.
congratulate you on that. Okay, before you give us the postcard. Thank you.
Okay.
That was good. That was good.
Okay. Um, so I'd like to read you the last one because I think it's very huh?
Sounds like reverse evolution.
No, who said that?
Jack.
Jack?
Yeah, from asceticism to monkey mind,
Yeah,
as opposed to monkey mind to asceticism.
yeah.
Well, you know what monkey mind means, don't you?
No.
Well, in Buddhism, we call the monkey mind because you're supposed to focus
Oh.
and just focus on your breath. I guess nobody knows what monkey mind is. And we call it when we can't focus and it jumps around to your thoughts, to what you're going to do, to what you're going to do grocery shopping. We call that monkey mind.
Right.
Okay, distraction. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Distraction.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it certainly is suggestive, metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jack, you mean a fly, a bat, clouds?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Jeannie, give us threes of charm, please.
Okay. So one time I heard this lecture about these monks who discovered that he was going crazy because he found the Pali scripts and they were all translated for thousands of years. They meant celebrate, not celibate. And so I wrote this during COVID. I don't know if I'm going to take the last line out, but
That's one hell of a typo.
I know. So I call this one celebrate, not celibate. Om Mani Padme Om.
A Freudian type.
Okay, so it says, and I've gone to Cambodia and the temples there. I went to every temple I could think of, but this is it. Okay. Standing on the steps of an ancient Cambodian temple, a daydream starts to reel. 1,000 years tickle my toes as footsteps vibrate under my feet. The daydream takes me inside to hear Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om, the ancient Pali language. Sandalwood incense mixes with the fragrant Wamdul flowers. Rising to the heavens, I am dizzy with this scent. The gods in the temple love women, and I am blessed to be here. I bring rice cakes dipped in honey, mangoes, and ambrosia wine. Day turns into night. Dreams continue on. A rainbow moon rises in an indigo sky. Om Mani Padme Om, Om Mani Padme Om. 3,000 years ago, the monks knew secrets of erotica. Everyone is blissful in this temple. The night goes on, the love goes on. Om Mani Padme Om. Oh, why can't this be real? Instead, I'm in the land of COVID, dreaming up a dream. That's it.
Well, all right.
Now, I have a question to ask you. When I read this once in a workshop, they wanted me to take out that stuff about being in COVID because it locked the poem into a certain place, but it was in COVID. So I ended it with that. Do you think that it would have been better without that stanza?
Um, I think that it was a pleasant reality check that stirred my focus, and I think of Frank O'Hara, the modernist poet from New York, who used to give scenes and tastes and flavors, and then say, and now I'm staring at you over a cup of coffee or something. So yeah, he would end things like, "Now I'm back in the now," you know,
Uh-huh.
and he was celebrated for that style, Frank O'Hara.
Uh,
So
oh, okay.
yeah, you could
Interesting.
include yourself as an ally in that particular strategy or tactic, if you will, at the end like that.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, and don't trust what workshop people tell you, because some of the well, be selective about what you trust, because a lot of workshops, in my experience, have a consensus about content and style and other roles that constitute good poetry as they see it. And you get in there trying something new, and it doesn't constitute their version of conventional poetry. I mean, I've had to bow out and say, okay, it isn't conventional. I agree. Live long and prosper, y'all. Bye. You know.
Okay. Well, I'm
Okay.
keeping it in.
Keep at it. Okay. All right. So now I'd like to move over.
You guys didn't like the poem, or that's what you had to say to him? You know, you didn't like it. I liked it, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, if Dharma Dave likes it, you know it's registered. All right.
Yeah, it's often gratuitous, people say in workshops.
It's what?
Gratuitous,
Hmm.
because often people, speak for the sake of speaking.
Mm.
Yeah. Like, yeah, like critics who have to find something to prove that they've studied something that confronts
Yes,
something that you've written somewhere.
Hmm.
Do you know the wonderful short story by Dylan Thomas called How to Be a Critic?
Oh, I forget
Oh,
it. I forget it.
It's worth reading.
Okay.
no, I'm gonna write
Okay,
that
good.
down.
Yeah, write that down. All
It's
right.
just
So,
funny. It's
Martin,
nothing serious.
stay there, Martin, because I want to call on you next. So let me
All
call
right.
on you next.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Martin. You're next.
Thank you. So the first one I want to do is something I'm just working on right now. It's probably not finished. I've written more verses and I've kicked a few of them out as not being interesting enough. And maybe some more of these should be kicked out. So any comments would be much appreciated. So this is
Okay.
called Hope.
Hope
Hope is a
so.
boat. Sorry. Hope is a boat moored in the harbor with a far too thin tether. Hope is a hike through the rain to a rodent-infested shelter. Hope is a wooden ladder whose rungs are rotting and need repair. Hope is a terrier barking whenever a plane flies over. Hope is a line of silver spilled on the horizon when clouds gather. Hope is a swaying cobra with unblinking eyes compelling us to stare. Hope is a mosaic assembled from the pieces of a shattered mirror. Hope is a pair of clean plates drying on a rack after dinner. Hope is a leap into the sea, clutching your children as you swim to shore. Hope is the terror of abandoning the safety of despair.
Okay. Well, my initial reaction is I like how it stays with contradictory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Right.
So that when washing dishes dry, well, that seems, that seems a bit out of. I like it when you continually talk about hope is a negative. The outcome of this hope is a negative consequence, as you began the poem. I like that.
Yeah, I like the way it goes back and forth, black and white.
Okay, thank you. So you think the dishes, the dinner?
I ditch, yeah,
Black.
I ditch the dishes. I would just, yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Well, it's supposed to hint at more, right? Because it's a pair of clean plates.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
until it,
I
yeah,
thought it
Jenny,
meant that he had a good dinner and
right.
they did the dishes.
And you see, I was impressed with the way he startled me with the way it started out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Repeat your first line, please, Martin.
Hope is a boat moored in the harbor with a far too thin tether.
Right. You see, already we're getting a dark appraisal of that particular instance. And then the second line, the second idea.
Hope is a hike through the rain to a rodent-infested shelter.
Now you see what I mean? Now, if I had rats crawling through the dinner dishes, maybe, I could go with that.
That was kind of scary.
Yeah. I almost,
Well, better than the rain.
I would almost, I was, I was second guessing. Hope is shit happens.
Now,
Well,
the couplet I'm most attached to is the last one.
Go ahead.
Hope is the terror of abandoning the safety of despair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one to go out on because it seems to summarize, the perplexity, the darkness surrounding the other couplets. I mean, that trumps all the other. That's worse than rats in the rest area, or a boat uh, barely tethered. That really wraps it up, dropping.
Or uh,
but
clutching
he
your,
had the
your
silver
children
lining
as you
in
swim
there.
to shore.
Yeah.
What?
Hope is
Clutching your
leap
children
into
as
the
you
sea.
swim to shore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That one's autobiographical.
that one's touching. It's out of again, it's out of temperament with the other couplets, but it's touching. Like I almost thought you were going to say, "Hope is clutching your children as they drown" or something. You know, since there were rats
I
in the.
I felt I had to put that one in because that's my story, right?
Okay, good enough.
That's what
Good enough.
my parents when I was 6.
What? Your parents when you were sick?
When I was 6, my parents jumped into the sea,
Oh.
clutching me and my brother.
Well, with that phrase in your poem, the newfound reader to your work can at least assume, well, the man had some morality there. Okay, so how about, speaking of some morality, how about a second piece, Martin?
Okay, so this is another translation from Karel Kryl, and this is a pretty weird one. I know I'm going to play a little bit of it for you if you don't mind. It's the first poem song he wrote after going into exile, and it was at a very turbulent time, right after the Warsaw Pact invasion, and things were going on in other places. And it's called. Maybe should I read the translation first, and then you can listen to the music? What makes sense? Mo, you're muted.
That would be good. Give us a reference for the language to follow.
Right. Okay. So this is also a little bit weird because 10 years after he wrote it, he sang a version in German. I'm not quite sure whether he wrote the German translation or a friend of his did, but he sang it, so he okayed it. And it differed quite a bit from the original, and my translation is sort of in between the two, combined with both.
Let's hear.
It's called A Hand is a Bridge. A hand is a bridge, and fingers are towers, and arteries this dirty river. Betrayal which taught lessons of cowards was brought by the cunning deceiver. It's so cold, little friend. Raptors are silent. Next door in your land, are they so violent as you are beaten? Bearded scarecrow and crossbones and corpses of animals that have been cornered. Fields full of snow with barbed wire fences and footprints that do not lead homeward. Our fields were trampled by horses' hooves, bringing words falling from the sky, vodka shots ringing, and drunken singing. Soldiers for hire, performing their duty, those red-armored marauding forces. Faces on fire, again they seek booty, supported by green metal horses. It's so cold, little friend. Raptors are silent. And next door in your land, are they so violent as you are beaten? As you are beaten?
Wow, okay.
Here.
Look keře a v tepně máš špinavou řeku. Nezvaný host, chlap v poloze vleže, svou lekci ti dal o člověku. Zima je králíčku, dravci jsou němí, příteli človíčku v sousední zemi, taky tě bijí.
I'll
Okay.
fade it out because that was the first verse and the first refrain.
Okay. All right.
Martin,
And
did
the
you say
second,
raptors?
yep,
Did you say raptors?
raptors, yeah,
Raptors, okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
Dravci in Czech, and in German. So that's something that's in both versions. Raubvögel. In German, it's Raubvögel, and in Czech, it's Dravci.
Good. And when he made that public, did he suffer any persecution?
Or he was in exile already
Oh, and where was he in exile?
in Germany,
Oh, in Germany. Oh, okay. All right.
West Germany.
So give us something else.
Yep. This is another one by him. And this was actually before he went into exile, but I suppose he was anticipating that he was going into exile, and so many people might connect to it. It's called What Will They Say? And it's anticipating not so great futures. What will they say, those men who sit there so stonily, spitting at those who have fled their homeland? As they have always done, they'll just tremble silently, fearfully stealing as much as they can. What will the ladies say here with their opera glasses when plays about truth are no longer played? They'll listen eagerly like small children in classes to tales that the truth should make them afraid. What will they say, all those who have come to applaud you when you are silenced and they mustn't clap? Again, they will dance to the tune they are told to, jumping like puppets until their necks snap.
Yeah, that could have been written this morning.
And this one, I'm going to play the whole thing because it's only a minute. Let's see.
Co řeknou ti páni, co sedí cestrnule, plí tu na ty, kdož opustí vlast. Zas budou jen mlčet, jak mlčeli minule, třásti se strachem a tiše si krást. Co řeknou ty dámy, co sedí tu z pukátky, tehdy až o pravdě zakážou hrát. Vím, budou zas ochotně poslouchat pohádky o tom, že pravdy je třeba se bát. Co řeknou ti všichni, kdož dnes ti tu tleskají, tehdy až mocní ti umlčí hlas. Zas budou jen tančit, jak jiním pískají, hopsat tak dlouho, až slámou si vás.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I like the enthusiasm, the way he sings it too. You know, he belts out. You know, he belts it out.
He sings like a knife.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a sense of urgency and call in those lyrics.
Yeah.
Rather than relax, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so three's a charm on this ominous note of exile before and after.
No, I did. This was the third.
No, this was only the second. Correct me if I'm wrong, people.
I did the Hope poem first.
Yeah, but then you played the music to it, so I thought that was one.
No. I did my Hope poem, and then I did a hand is a bridge, and then What Will They Say?
Well, There'll be no pulling the wool over Martin Resig's eyes, everybody. I was testing you for your power of recovery. Okay. Mhm. All right. So let's dash over here to Paris again and invite on Bill Stragmeyer. Bill.
Hey, everybody. Let's see. Okay. Quote from Nicholas Schreck, who wrote the book. And eventually he, meaning Charles Manson, testified to an empty court as Bugliosi had convinced the presiding judge, Older, that Manson's hypnotic power might convince the jury he was innocent. Love as a motto. State of war was always there, at least we knew. And with it, just as now, the heavy past, a leaden sky, but it hung over party time, enlightenment, and love. Our nature, our quest, and our justification, it seemed. Small lives made large in a greater theater of mind, and that love so one-dimensional, offhand, and cool was not the presence of God, but rather ours and thin. For this I feel much calmer now and closer to a warmth, for a warm regret for chances lost or never seen, just been. The tenderness life's missing now was missing then, but then unknown and thus invisible, and a nothing thing. It was as if enameled like a fashion model hippie chick. Perhaps my own ungainly, wavering, standalone line was what kept what should be soft so plastic hard. To go back, soften the air or the touch in reverie, will not repay the sense of loss, the decaying root, the foundation's weakened support and shrunken depth. But the tang that caught the eye and ear and tongue was enough for the passengers riding the history train. But the lost nostalgia for the poetry not then lived has still a compensation in the softening mistakes will bring.
Yeah. All right. All right. Here we go. Here we go.
Okay. This is called Contest. Sometimes calling, sometimes pulling, and the heart on the sleeve is the authority. May I, can I? But the answer is always unclear. The fragility of the determination pains and mechanical solutions do not assuage. Avoid the weak request, demand. The sought after ghost refuses kindnesses. The only solutions are joy or wonder, though strength and resistance count. Resist the enemy, for he is us, and the long night beckons with its distractions. Or else laugh, and the point becomes moot, and perfection a mathematical infeasibility, for the solution is repeatedly tendered in dream, the nebulous translation we aspire to yield, to deliver the epitaph to.
Wow. It's over before it's over. Yeah. The epitaph in your dream. Okay, Bill. Three is a charm.
Okay, in which I claim remove. I would sing a sweet song stripped of right and of wrong on the flight of soft birds amongst bright singing words, on a tune lilting light, but with grounding like a kite for those who think life still exists. I would teach them a dance to balloon out their pants as they fling off their shirt or they wee out their skirts, the way little girls play and the little boys way, the dynamics of shouting hooray for those who think life still exists. I would serve up a wine so exquisitely fine that you're instantly drunk and all sorrows are sunk below billows of glee and the spirit is free to rip like a shark in the sea for those who think life's really real. Oh, my melody sings for a world where such things as the muscle and tooth are really uncouth, where small angels adore the great mind, and what's more, they are happy enough at the core for those who think life is real. Ah, but this ain't the way to celebrate day. You must think I'm a guy who just loves to die. But no, the truth lives and destiny weaves happy endings for each one who gives. Still, I think you believe life exists.
Ugh. Well, that'll keep you up late at night, Bill. I'll tell you that.
No, 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 I sleep easy.
What about you? Your life still exists.
Yeah, you think so?
Okay, if that's what you got in response, all right. Okay.
Qui
All
vivra
right. Well,
era.
I saw
okay.
I saw a quote from Oscar Wilde today that for most people, life, or they exist, or how few people live. For most people exist.
Hmm.
Qui
Yeah.
vivra era.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I read something about a week ago that said boredom is a natural and inevitable part of life. Our ancestors suffered more from it than we do. The problem in our generation is that we do not accept boredom as a condition and therefore run to seek diversion and excitement.
I haven't been bored since I was a teenager.
So, well, excluding Bill here, I'm putting the weight of it on the guy who wrote it and the fact that boredom is an inevitable part of life. Anybody who says they haven't been bored don't have a creative mind. So I wouldn't credit you with that, Bill, because psychologists and others observe that it's from boredom that the creative person will seek relief through creation.
But boredom isn't the only thing that causes distress.
Well, we're not trying to qualify it as the only thing. We're just trying to cite it itself as a factor in existence.
But perhaps if people turn to creative activity, they don't have a chance to get bored.
Okay. All right.
I bet that's what Bill means.
Yeah.
Except that I would disagree that I think everyone suffers moments of boredom. Simply that. You know, it's not rocket science. It's just a condition that settles in. If we could continually keep ourselves in stimulation, that would be something to observe and experience. Non-stop stimulation, even if it's subtle, right? Even if it's subtle.
That would probably kill us.
I think it would.
They've done
Therefore, I resignedly agree that boredom is an acceptable part of existence.
they've done it to rats in Skinner boxes. But you know, how about annoyance? Maybe
Well,
maybe that's why I can say I haven't been bored since I was a teenager.
You've been annoyed.
Yes.
mm,
Too annoyed to be bored.
well,
Well, of course,
Well,
think of George Sanders.
Oh, yeah. I dedicated a poem to him.
okay. All right. And by the way, when I talked about boredom, that was a quote, believe it or not, where he says it's an integral part of modern life and our ancestors had more than us. That was George Bernard Shaw,
right.
nearly 100 years ago.
Yes.
George Bernard Shaw.
I once had a phone call from someone who said that she said she was feeling George Sanderish.
I thought you were going to say you had a call from Shaw.
No, I'm still waiting for that call.
Still waiting.
So did she continue to live?
Yes, she did.
Oh,
Well, actually, yeah, she did. I actually told her that I'd ask her, tell her that I was waiting for a call from a friend. She took tremendous offense and hung up.
Oh,
You
wow.
you should have said, fasten your seatbelts. You're in for a
Bumpy ride.
ride.
Okay. So you think this is funny, David Wilson, do you?
well, it is kind of.
Why don't we hear from you next, Dharma Dave?
Okay. Well, we are kind of funny. I mean, I'll start with a poem by a woman. I've been thinking a lot about my friend Margot Skinner. April 13th was her 100th birthday. So I'm going to read a poem from her collected poems. And this is called Creation. Is life itself extended metaphor penned by the hand of God? A major artist has infinite range, from pageant, puppet show, and shadow play, to commedia dell'arte and high tragedy, with even our will a strutting player, and fair Helen gliding across the stage, as beautiful as death. Caesar puts on a crown, or catsup seeps scarlet in the forum. Arthur rises again in Avalon. Merlin, released, brings wisdom to the world. Troy falls, Rome burns, the round table is riven. Gone with the wind, the topless towers of Mannahatta. The prairies seethe with heat, the seas incarnadine. The greatest show on earth, it's got everything. Swords and dim music, lovers' vows by night, sonnets and epigrams, epics more grandiose than earthly Homers or the northern skalds. Each form a realized perfection.
Okay, okay. Homage.
I have wild turkeys on the hillside behind me. They gobbled at that point.
I like the bells again. I
And
like
there's we got the bells happening too.
give
And
it
Claire was
to
invited.
Norma's then, Dave. Give it to us. I know
Okay.
this is staged. I know it.
You know,
You called the wind in on this, David.
it's natural, man. So here's I'm going to read from my publication there, Rorschach.
Okay.
Here's a little catastrophe poem from the 80s. Chernobyl fright poem. Must write now. For the 80s cower before me. The poet must speak, and the workaday man, the quiet money seeker, must look up and let his visions, voices speak. For the Soviet reactor has broken and spews forth poison gas, and its molten death metal burns a hole in the earth. Even here, around the world, the psychic rays burn deep into consciousness and feeling. The earth shakes and waves rock the shore. People, listen. The paradigm shift must come soon, or it may not come at all. Keep trying. Don't give in to fear or give up hope. That was 35 years ago. We're still here.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. And three's a charm from you, Dharma Dave.
We'll do another catastrophe piece, but this is Catastrophe and Dream. Alaska was sinking. Alaska was sinking into the ocean. I could see it clearly, the wrath of God, because I was a stranger. But those who lived there refused to accept the truth. I was at the home of a friend. Inside, we were snug and warm, but the outside was piled high with snow and ice. We took short walks to the town, which lay across a narrow, ice-choked channel. The perilous crossing made on a narrow and slippery bridge, which was suspended many hundreds of feet above the channel below. On one occasion, as my friend and I were returning home across that bridge, a fearsome storm blew in to try and snuff out our lives. Overhead, I saw the swirling, snow-heavy clouds and heard the howling wind. I looked below and saw the great chunks of ice churning and crunching together in the frozen waters. We hurried on across the bridge, my friend slipping once and nearly falling. But at last we reached the relative safety of the far side and hurried on to his house. When we had caught our breath, I turned to him and said, "We must get away from here. Alaska is sinking into the ocean."
Okay. Are some would call it climate change.
Say right.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well,
Prophetic
you
climate
were in
change.
Alaska then, right?
I've never been to Alaska
Oh my God, don't let this get out. Don't let
in my
everybody keep this to yourself.
waking life, but I hope to visit there sometime.
You'll
It's
get one of those
beautiful there. Yeah.
you'll get one of those Trumpers calling you fake news. You better be careful, man.
I'm not afraid of them.
You'll get twitted. Okay. All right. Now, Kareem, what have you planned to do?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Mo.
Yes.
I plan to sing a bit of a song by an American singer named Leon Bridges.
Leon Bridges. Okay.
Then a little song by myself.
Okay, well, Leon Bridges, tell
Yeah,
us, is he a folk singer?
it's a soul singer. Soul singer.
Oh, soul singer. Cool. All right.
He's pretty young.
Okay. That's
Yeah, his
good.
wife is Asian, right?
Don't know, but maybe.
Hmm.
Uh, it goes like that. Been traveling this wide road for so long. My heart's been far from you, 10,000 miles gone. Who wanna come near and give you every part of me? Surrender to the good Lord, and He'll wipe your slate clean. Take me to your river, I wanna go. Go on, I wanna know.
Okay. Okay. Here we have a world premiere on Angora Poets from a composer. Now, Bridges was his name. Okay.
Yeah, so the second one is a little song by myself in a little English,
Okay.
in a small English.
Okay.
Once upon a time, in a land not so far away, met that girl, and what she told me was so sweet. then I believe in her. Yeah, then I believe in her. 'Cause she said, sad days and sad days, sad days are gone. Sad days and sad days are all gone. This morning I feel so beautiful. I don't even know why, but I just don't give a day. Just don't give a day. 'Cause she said, sad days and sad days, sad days are gone. All the sad days are all gone. Wait for the sunshine, baby, don't you worry. Leaving the flowers better than leave in a hurry. Put down your gun, soft doom and pain. Don't let their sun so drive you insane. They need icons. They need icons. They need icons. They need us. They need us. Get on the bus, yeah. Get on the bus.
I can ride with that. Thank you. Thank you, Kareem.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a lot.
much.
Appreciate it. It's good to have some music and song among this poetry. That's good. Thank you. All right. So now I'm going to call, we're going to come. Oh, we're still in Paris. Wow. So remaining in Paris, I'm going to call on Jack Cooper, who remains in Paris. Hello, Jack.
Hello, Mo. Hello, everyone. Uh, so I just thought of this one, which is an old piece, but Martin's reference to dishes drying made me think of it. It's called Untitled One. Come to Manhattan. Evening slowly descends. Rattle of dishes from an open window only makes abstraction suddenly material.
Thank you for that epiphanous message.
Hmm.
Okay. All right.
Almost like a haiku. Maybe we could hear it again.
Come to Manhattan. Evening slowly descends. Rattle of dishes from an open window only makes abstraction suddenly material.
Yeah. Got it. All right. Okay. All right. And to follow that one.
To follow that, I have a piece which describes a train ride from one place to another, the other being back to the city. And I use three foreign phrases or words. One is urbs, which is the Latin for city, domus, which is Latin for home, and via, which is, a road.
Okay. So is this a ride around Greater New York? Can you name the
Yes, it actually,
departure and destination?
it's departing from Katona, New York, and arriving at Grand Central Station.
Grand Central. Okay.
And then from there to my walk-up tenement apartment. It's called Smoking Care. Lit by the sun, such smoking day drags on. Done, pressure under glass. Lights long past, screed. Shade outspeaks silently as an epitaph. Flight with this backward star. Straight climbs, hangs upside down until high noon descends. Its red-eyed drift stubbed out, crushed, emptied sky, wrung curtain, feathered pheasant, flushed intent, railroad tracks run clear through, twin glow, streaks parallel return, summons April heeds. Season change makes seem motionless, dreams stillborn, break crests, wishes in ringed horizons blown. Cloud galleons show ordinary spring. Terminal, herbs, stairwell, cantilevered via, apotheosis, my lips, sensors further await, crave, domus, flame, helpless, once raised against portent, hope set to darkness, illuminate joy, air afresh, sight brilliance, breathe, and radiance, a poignancy, translucent should I admit its appeal, glimpse grass, blooming fire, ash tapped instead into a burial urn. No one will see.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
The solitudes of a train ride, man.
oh yeah, and solitude of coming home.
Yeah, right. And to leave the wayside, with growth and maybe birds, and then your wandering mind to step up into Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, I remember I used to pass a graveyard.
Uh, wow. It is like stepping into two worlds. A train provides that, right?
Yeah,
Where it took your mind through the scenery, through the
yeah,
leaves of,
and that part of the trip when you can actually see yourself in the, reflected in the window, and the passing landscape
yeah,
showing. And if you happen to be smoking,
yeah,
the the
right,
the uh, the twin glow of your cigarette.
right. And the way you end it, and no one will ever see the ash in the urn, which is to say, once you leave your seat on a train, you have no longer been there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So let's hear number three, Jack.
Okay. Um,
Charm us.
this is called Feuilles d'Avril, and
Autumn
I
leaves. Okay.
yeah, April leaves, April.
Oh, d'Avril. Okay.
Yeah, Feuilles
April leaves.
d'Avril. And
Okay.
I invented a word, which is avrilaceous, like
Okay. Of relations.
April-like. Yeah.
Okay.
Avrilaceous, as the moment pushed, open, tiny, tender eyelids, hazy with newness, vibrant, vagrant, thrust forth in their vast amazement. That late April, still, when little yet, if anything, happened has. She's in fresh anticipation, its newborn world of relations as thou, once timorous, sprawled on grass, emerald foil, moist, least hope lifts, half afloat, half submerged, sunlit, surface, shaded depth, breadth unlike, tearful, fear, let go, feel, tear by tear, fear after fear, laugh, laugh, blossom burst, pale flowering, billowed petals, ghosts without the bough, pyre of seed, time permits to ignite, dehiss, leaf, flesh, liable dissonance, rain and heartbeat, believing, kiss, extinguishes, falling away.
Okay. Oof. That's yeah, yeah. Did you write that on a walk?
No,
No.
no. I wrote that recalling lying on the grass with someone I loved,
Okay. All right.
and
Okay.
that person whom I loved um, fell out of my life.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Oof. Okay. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Now,
Thank you.
now, yeah. Okay. Mm. Then I'm next and last to read. So I have two poems I picked out, inspired or suggested by poems that I heard earlier in this set. So this one would be a poem to send someone as they were entering the world of Doc Jennings' poems into the infinity and into the beyond. Mine is much more clandestine, and it's called Flight. Look, look into me, into my eyes. See designs, castles built. The roof caves in, battles fought, the wounds, how I always laugh and cry at the wrong times, kisses dripping blood hot. Voyous, come in, know this for yourself. Mysteries, animal satiation, chaos theory, but a hint of what's to come. You should bet on it. You may hold my hand as we flee the tyranny of the straight line. Look, look at you, licking your lips, stretching your limbs, smelling the danger and letting it ride. The blood in your veins, cocktail of adrenaline, hormones and laughter, jostling for places. Look, there you are. See yourself. You at play on the stage of your life. Your part now to take flight. Okay. That was somebody that felt they were being too static in their life. So I wrote her this poem. Now here's another one. Now, Jeannie, this one, the simply, well, it's simply one of those uh, brief. It's just a brief poem, and I don't want to say anymore. It's called. People are talking about boredom, and I say that uh, you might say from your studies, Jeannie, that boredom can also be called emptiness and take you somewhere. Okay, so here's mine. It's called Dum Dum. Wave, water, wind, sand, desert, once a sea. Fire, flame, ash, dust, fallen leaf, once a flower. Day, night, dark, light, blind, sight, smart, dumb, 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 ever after. There you go. So there's my spiritual state that lies somewhere between Dalai Lama and Dolly Parton. Okay. Okay. So there we have it, the first round, everybody. That was a nice round. Wow. Let's take a few minutes to chat and come back for the second round. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Thanks, everybody.
Great
for that
poem,
round.
Mo. Great poem.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah.
I have to say goodnight, everybody. I get up early for work tomorrow.
Okay, Bill.
See you later, Bill.
Thank you.
Don't
Good
work
night,
too
Bill.
hard.
Bye, Bill.
I
Bye.
have to work hard. I have to. It's in my nature.
I know, Bill. It's
Just
your
don't
ethic.
Grew up
Just don't
Protestant. Hey,
be bored or be boring.
Right.
Grew up on a farm,
Okay.
milking the cows in the morning. Oh yeah, I enjoyed that one, Mo.
Did you like that one? Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I was on to something, and I've written another poem similar to that. Just getting lost, right? A
Well,
poem
I
that
thought
says,
that
"Fire never burns itself, and water never drowns. The air and the wind never does get lost, and I will always be found." And so I followed that with just some sort of
The one I always liked was she uh, she drinks like a chimney and smokes like a fish. Right?
Well, now, Dave, you'd be on to something very profound there. There you go. Kudos, my friend. Kudos. All right, that's great. What else? And I want I want Martin to spell the name of our Czech performer so that I can. We need it. This guy's been a de facto member of Angora Poets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Carl Trio. Okay, spelled with a K. All right, good, good. So,
That's a
ding.
cool idea. You know, you don't even have to necessarily be from this century to be an Angora poet, correct?
I'll show you. Here's an
We're
amazing.
back to time and space again.
Here we go.
Here's kind of an amazing thing. If you want to have some fun. So in just before he went into exile, he was allowed to visit in '69. He was allowed to visit Norway, and Norwegian television recorded him doing 5 songs.
Cool.
Uh-huh.
And it's the only recording because there were lots of recordings in Czechoslovakia, but they were all destroyed by the authorities afterwards. So
Really
very
now.
few recordings of him from '68 and '69 have survived.
Even
Only
under, you mean in those years, even under Alexander Dubček?
no, it was after the invasion.
Oh, after Dubček. Okay, there you go. Oh, all
So
right.
they destroyed the recording. So this is kind of
That's a
unique.
secure regime.
Yeah, of course. Actually, his first record, that's also an amazing story. So, as I don't know if I mentioned this, but when the invasion happened, militarily it was over in less than a week, but politically it took almost a year. And so he put out a record still in Czechoslovakia, which became a huge hit and sold out. And they had a second printing, but by then things were getting tighter and tighter. And the second printing was under the control of a new director of the company, and so he just took all of that second printing and chopped it up with a circular saw.
Oh,
10,000 records, something like that.
Well, Martin, what would you attribute to the mass alienation going on in the Czech Republic today? And would you also include that with Slovakia?
But so Slovakia
What
is,
would you attribute? We hear more and more stories about disillusionment and alienation. Now, that's been going on in Eastern Europe since the fall of the Iron Curtain, I know. But the reason why I'm asking is because what I've read and listened to and know about the history of the Czech Republic or Czech land or however far you want to go back. There were so many brilliant people who spoke for the nature of their time and their culture. And today it seems to be just, you know, rather bankrupt of enthusiasm and vision. And
yeah,
what would you attribute to that?
I don't know. It's a very interesting question. I don't know. It started out after '89. It started out so positively, and we were also optimistic. Havel was, was pretty unique among all the people who came to power. Totally idealistic
It was,
and a very moral person, and also the Czechoslovakia had this kind of unique feature that, unlike any of the other countries that were getting their freedom, it had a history of democracy. Right before the war, under Masaryk, between the wars, it had probably the most vibrant democracy in not just in Central Europe, but in it was more robust than France or any and in all of Europe other than England probably, and Britain. It really had a very vibrant democracy, and I guess part of the things was that, it's pretty clear that Havel made some serious mistakes. He was so eager to avoid any kind of sort of retaliation against the communists that there was no sense that people were held accountable, and many of the former communists were able to just move right in as now, buy up factories, and and there was a lot of corruption that was coming in, and that led to a huge amount of cynicism.
Okay.
And the Czechs are kind of naturally cynical. I mean,
Are they similar to their neighbors in Romania? And the Romanians are that way for sure.
I mean, if you read Schweik, do you know the Adventures of the Good Soldier Schweik?
No.
Yeah.
So that's the original kind of anti-war, anti-hero novel. That's
Okay.
what inspired Catch-22 and many others. And the thing, I mean, much to the chagrin of some Czechs, Schweik is kind of considered a national hero, and he's this. The way he described in the first lines of the book is he suffered from rheumatism, and aside from this occupation, he sold mongrel dogs whose pedigrees he forged. So not a heroic figure. And every Czech knows Schweik and knows the opening lines by heart.
Well, was Kundera Czech? Is he Czech?
Yes and no.
Because when his book came out, the West endorsed him like no one since the Russian dissidents. It was Kundera. And Kundera is giving you the postmodernist message that comes out of his Czech experience and resonates with all of us in modern times.
Yeah, but
so
Kundera, he is of Czech origin, but he's not very Czech. He's a total hypocrite. He was a secret police informer, and
wow.
I mean, yeah, he was a bit of a swine.
And how about Kafka? Does Kafka survive as the voice of the voice of
Kafka?
Kafka is very interesting. Kafka, yeah, definitely. But Kafka never wrote in Czech. He wrote in German.
Well, la-ti-ta-ti-ta. He went to the better schools, don't you know? Okay.
No, actually, that's another very interesting part of Czech history or Czechoslovak history, that before the war, it was a very multicultural society, incredibly multicultural. There were, there was a large German-speaking minority, part of which was Jewish, part of which was not Jewish. So you can imagine the chaos that caused when the Nazis came in and so on. So,
all right. It's very interesting with all.
But I guess maybe just one thing. One aspect of Czech culture, maybe just a thought, is the Czechs were basically, aside from that brief interwar period, the Czechs were ruled by somebody else for hundreds of years. So they do, in terms of, they have no military tradition. Their heroes tend to be cynical, satirical heroes.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
The last kind of military activism of the Czechs where there were crusades during the Hussite Wars, when there were crusades against the Czechs. There were something like 5 or 6 crusades declared against the Czechs.
Okay. And is there a major difference between the Czechs and the Slovaks?
That's a really interesting question. So the biggest difference culturally was in the Habsburg Empire. The Czechs were ruled by the Austrians, and the Slovaks were ruled by the Hungarians. And the Hungarians were much harsher masters. And
as they would be today.
And that led to some, so the languages are mutually comprehensible. In any rational world, Czech and Slovak would be considered dialects. They're not distinct languages in.
Well, what was the key? What was the key reason for the Slovaks wishing to secede from the Union and become just Slovakia?
Well,
Was it some kind of popular nationalism or something?
no. The key reason was lousy politicians. So the Czech premier at the time was a guy named Klaus, Václav Klaus, who was an opportunist and self-interested, and the Slovak premier was a guy named Vladimir Mečiar, who was much worse, who was a demagogue and a cynical nationalistic demagogue. But the thing is, they never held a referendum because they knew it would have lost in both parts of the country.
So how was it imposed, the state separation?
Just from above.
Yeah, from above, just an executive decree.
Well, I guess it must have gone through some, I don't know the details. I don't know.
Okay.
But there was no referendum, and many people, like Krill, absolutely was furious about it. He refused to give in to hand in his Czechoslovak ID card. He said he was a Czechoslovak. He wasn't Czechoslovak.
On the level of culture, do they interact on the level of culture, Czechs and Slovaks?
Oh yeah, they interact. I mean, the relationship between them. So there are some complicated things, but basically, it was never an issue that the Slovaks felt exploited by the Czechs or anything like that.
Well,
It was more that they felt condescended to. They were